Hello and welcome back everybody to the Foodbuild factory, where today we're going to take a look at the Adept. That's the guy you can see on screen right now. And as always, I'm going to show you some gameplay in the first half of the video, and in the second half of the video we're going to take a look at the perks, mutations, equipment and everything else. So let's get right into it. As always, I'm going to show off some gameplay in the first half of the video, and in the second half of the video we're going to take a look at the perks, mutations, equipment and everything else. As usual, we're going to start with this here little radar encampment. The thing is, though, there was quite some trouble because just a few seconds ago there were some vertibots and yeah, other chaos was going on. But anyways, I think there should be at least one or two enemies alive, and yeah, this part of the video is hardly the most interesting one, I guess. So yeah, let's get right into it. What this character is going to be about is we are going to take a look at a very special little weapon that I just acquired like a few days ago. Um, it was like 5 days ago or so. A quad crossbow, a legacy weapon. Not often that I show these off on the channel, but it happens occasionally. And yeah, I want to do it a little bit more, but as always, when I do show off legacy weapons, I try to focus on the ones that are less covered, in my opinion. So what you're not going to see, at least in the near future, is stuff like explosive Gatling plasmas or explosive laser rifles. Just because, yeah, everyone knows how powerful these kind of weapons are. Flamers count among them, and everyone knows, yeah, how ridiculous these things are. Everyone has seen them in action, and yeah, there's quite a ton of interesting legacy weapons nowadays, in my opinion. And not all of them are legacy, in my opinion, because they're super overpowered. For example, this one here, it certainly has some very considerable benefits over any crossbow you could get nowadays. But still, I wouldn't really say it's kind of game breaking or anything. It's still, I mean, every non-legendary fixer with a decent stealth commando build will probably out DPS this weapon. But yeah, we will talk a lot about it. You'll see a lot about it. I will tell you everything I have found out using it. And it's not the first time I have a quad crossbow. I had one of these in the past. I think I even had more of them, but I can particularly remember using one when they still dropped. It's not like they are day one illegitimate items. Sorry. Uh, so they have been dropping for quite a while. I can't really remember when they were patched out, but anyways, probably among the better legacy crossbows you can get. The crossbow is an interesting kind of weapon, for it has quite a few different effects that can't drop on it anymore. Um, some of them are just reasonable, like faster fire rate. I'm pretty sure can't drop on them anymore, which is a good thing because it doesn't do anything. Same with faster reload, which, since it doesn't do anything for it, is a good thing. But I honestly don't know why they can't just make the effect work. And at that point, it would probably be like the go-to legendary effect without being broken or anything. It would definitely make the weapon way more fun. So yeah, I would certainly wish they would reintroduce faster reload to crossbows and make it work. But my guess it has to do with the animations or anything. I'm not a programmer by any means, so I could be completely wrong. Yeah. Anyways, two shot, interestingly enough, is one of the effects that's not obtainable anymore when it comes to the crossbow, and I never really understood why exactly. Um, I mean, it could be that similar to other weapons, it does full explosive damage, maybe, or full damage per shot, which isn't the way it works with other weapons. But yet again, yeah, I'm not quite sure why they can't just patch that. And even then, that's just a speculation. I never really remember using any two-shot crossbow. So yeah, pretty sure though that Oxy 76 is currently on the hunt for one. So maybe help him out. He wants to make a video about it, so I guess he has some insight on it. But yeah, anyways, the one we are using is a quad version, and to be more precise, that's everything it has going for it. It's just a 1-star item. I kind of missed out on an opportunity because yeah, I actually traded for this thing, and really yeah, it took like 2 or 3 minutes. I had an anti-armor, 50 crits, 25 less vets cost fixer up for trade, and it took me like 2 minutes or so till someone offered me a quad crossbow, which is this one here. I agreed to a trade, and then yeah, shortly after I would have gotten a offer for a quad crit version with 250 damage resistance while reloading, which undoubtedly would have been the better version. Oh, excuse me. Sorry for your ears. For your ears, by the way. Whew. Not even pollen season, so I'm not sure what's going on. Um, yeah, would have undoubtedly been the better version, but yeah, as I already agreed to another holiday scourge. Oh, I haven't even noticed so far. That's interesting. Yeah, I already agreed to another trade, so yeah, I didn't really went through with that. And to be honest, the quad version is everything I wanted to begin with. So yeah, here we can see it in action. And just with like 3 shots left in the, well, not sure what to call it, magazine or something. I mean, there's no word for it because it isn't real. Um, yeah, just with 3 shots, we could already decimate the Scorch Beast quite quickly. So we can pretty safely assume that a full load of this thing would have probably killed the Scorch Beast within a single round. But either way, we didn't really have too much of a problem here. And as you can see, it all went down pretty quickly. Now, one thing you will notice during this video is how, yeah, I'm taking way more rats than usual, and that's because very oftenly I do use uh, what rats as a legendary perk. I'm pretty sure it's not on this character, so that's why you saw some rats stacking up there. But anyways, okay, we have a mutant hound here. And by the way, I'm often missing to completely reload the weapon in the meantime when I do have the time. Forgive me for that, but yeah, this time around I actually thought about it. So finally, let's talk a little bit about this weapon in particular. The quad effect on the crossbow obviously is a very good effect. I think there's no real explanation needed as to why that is on a crossbow. It's a relatively hard-hitting weapon that's balanced by the fact that it has such a low magazine capacity of just 1. So think about like the uh, harpoon gun. Sorry. Uh, Difference here is this is a very capable stealth weapon. It's completely silenced, or also has the keyword for it. And yeah, in let's just see, ghouls are very good for receiving crossbow bolts, by the way. So if you're just farming ghouls, you can actually get back, on average, more crossbows than you actually need in order to kill them. And yeah, it's a very silent weapon compared to the harpoon gun, so you can make use out of stealth, but on the different side, it doesn't have as much power behind it. But anyways, back to the topic. Obviously, quad is one of the better effects you can imagine for this weapon. And yeah, turns out it's very good. Now, differently to other weapons that aren't expected to be used like this, i.e. the harpoon gun I just mentioned, this one here, you actually have to reload every single shot for itself, which is one of the facts why I said in the beginning that it isn't really too OP in my opinion. If it was other way around, like if you were just reloading once and had 4 shots every time, this thing could be an absolute beast in my opinion. I mean, it's not how it works, so I ultimately can't really tell. But yeah, just from how it works here, if you really unload a full, yeah, as I said, magazine into an enemy here at relatively close ranges, you can actually pull out a lot of DPS in very short amounts of time. You will see this every now and then when Quick Hands activates and we automatically get a reload, which seems to work better than in the past. That's one thing I wanted to say earlier is I can remember when I was using the crossbow in the past, and yeah, quick hands just didn't really seem to work at all. Like I never got it to proc, which was kind of a bummer. But on this occasion, it does work, and actually is very satisfying if it does, as you can probably imagine. And surprisingly, maybe that's just biased because I tend to notice it more. But yeah, whenever I fight a tougher enemy, um, and I really unload all of the shots very fast into the enemy, I seem to have a higher chance to actually proc quick hands. Now, as I said, that's just hard to verify or anything. It's just something I have kind of felt that way. And anyways, I had a lot of fun with this weapon. Was definitely great. It's a good weapon. It's a very solid option if you really want to do an archer. And the perfect role for this weapon, in my opinion, is, as I see it, if you prime that weapon and take it as a backup for a archer that uses a bow or a compound bow, which very likely will be a VETS build anyways. And yeah, you just keep this as a backup for tougher targets where you need the DPS. And even if you can't really finish it off with 4 shots, you can significantly weaken any enemy just by unloading this thing into it. One thing that could be very interesting is if you actually have access to more than one of these for some reason. Yeah, you could potentially like carry 2 to 3 of them completely loaded, and at that point you can pretty much decimate any enemy with maybe the exception of bosses. Well, not maybe, pretty surely the exception of bosses. But I think you get the point here. Anyways, as a weapon in and of itself, as a main weapon, it definitely holds up. I didn't really feel any need for any other weapon at any given time. Obviously, once you're coming into situations where there are more than 4 enemies, or we will see that now with super mutants where enemies take 2 shots unless you do a crit, um, yeah, you will start to lose the benefit from quad. At that point, though, you will see that, in my opinion, the crossbow is a solid weapon either way. I had a knife out on a crossbow build for quite a while and have every now and then fooled around a little bit with different crossbows, and I always kind of liked them. And I didn't even feel like they were all that slow to begin with. A very common critique when it comes to the crossbow is that it's just too slow. And obviously, compared to something like a stealth commando weapon or something, it's definitely slow. But I think it is relatively well balanced. Sure, it's kind of sad that you can't improve the reload speed with certain perks. At that point, it would be really fun. But even then, as you see there, the reloads don't take too long. And since you probably are going to use this thing as a stealth weapon, you definitely do have the time to actually use these shots. Now, given you have maybe an anti-armor VATS crits version of the weapon or something, it can really perform pretty well even if it's not a quad version. And yeah, you probably will have a tough time one-shotting certain enemies, talking about stuff like level 100 um, super mutants. But then again, as I said, the reload isn't too long. You can actually do some quite solid DPS. And yeah, against bosses or, well, semi-bosses, talk about cheap squatches and so on, probably, even with a good crossbow, you will want to have another option. And I was kind of lucky there. I accidentally went into the pit boy and started to drop stuff, but uh, landed on a quest item, which was kind of lucky. So otherwise, would have been a little bit of a break in the game. But yeah, another downside to this weapon I found particularly interesting was the range. Now, it seems kind of appropriate if you talk about realism. Now, I'm not a gun nut or anything, or weapons expert or anything, but from my general understanding, crossbows have always been kind of this hard-hitting weapon compared to bows, but at the downside of not having so much range. So yeah, having way less range than a bow, probably a realistic thing here. But on the other side, I wish it had a little bit more punch to it. This is definitely one of those weapons where I feel like it wouldn't be too much to ask for if we could even one-shot level 100 super mutants once we got access to like a solid legendary effect. Anti-armor, junkies or something should definitely be able to one-shot those kind of enemies, in my opinion, with obviously with the right build. Um, Unless you're going like instigating with very low health and a low health build, um, it's probably not possible. I tried a few times, and yeah, there's always been quite a bit of room for improvement. And yeah, since you have to reload every single shot, I think it wouldn't be too overpowered or too much to ask for. But then again, the new damage model just doesn't work too well, in my opinion. There's just a lot of rework, and in my opinion, one big problem the devs seem to have is that they try to find a all-rounder solution where they can include pretty much every single weapon and give it the same rule set as others while balancing everything. And that just doesn't seem to work out too well. They should just, especially with some certain weapons that are very distinct to others, they should go in and really tweak the numbers like for the specific weapon, if that makes sense. I think like really it shouldn't be too hard to ask for. It's not like we have thousands of weapons in this game, and yeah, tweaking the like sneak multipliers, crit multipliers, and bringing stuff like that back for specific weapons shouldn't be too much to ask for, and could make for a way better balance in this game. But ultimately, what I'm asking for here is work from the devs, and yeah, I mean, who am I to judge, right? Anyways, I really driven off there, like from the video itself, and just started like my usual nonsense. Um, Good chance it was way more nonsense than usual, just because it's a very different time than usual when I'm recording for some reason. But I just felt the urge to because, yeah, I saw something that was really exciting. We have 100 subscribers, guys. I don't have a special video for it at the moment, uh, and I mean, I'm not going to make anything super special, but maybe I do. And yeah, if so, it's going to come up in the recent days. Sorry, not recent days, in the next few days. Maybe even before Christmas. Very nice to see you guys support me like that. I know like 100 subscribers is nothing when it comes to YouTube, and it maybe sounds like a bit of an over exaggeration, but I really feel like this is something very great for me. After all, I started off this channel just for fun, and it still is. And having like 100 people who actually subscribe to the idea and really watch my videos kind of regularly, it feels, yeah, it means a lot to me. It's really cool. I really appreciate all of you guys, every single one of you. Every time I read your comments and everything, it's a great experience. If any single one of you tries to start to make YouTube content as well, just let me know. I'm make sure to watch your videos if I have the time for it, which I probably will do. And yeah, I don't know what to say, guys. Thanks a lot. This here could no. I thought this could be interesting, by the way, just because I'm actually looking for another Cryolator video at the moment, and yeah, was looking for an interesting Cryolator. Anti-armor would certainly have been a good thing, but anti-armor bash damage, probably not the one. So, yeah, I think there's not a lot to say about the gameplay itself, by the way. Just, yeah, as you've seen there, we're doing relatively fine. The weapon has its drawbacks. The frequent reloads definitely hold the weapon back a little bit, but it all blends together very nicely and makes a lot of fun, in my opinion. Now, one thing I haven't really talked about is different frames for the weapon. So, one thing I mentioned earlier was ultrasight frame. So we're shooting like ultrasight arrows. Something I would definitely suggest you to do. We on this occasion do use plasma because that's probably the best option when it comes to the standard options. So yeah, it just gives you flat out the best damage in my opinion. You do have the option for an explosive frame, which is very fun and yeah, very unique. It's just fun. What should I say? It's a quad explosive crossbow. Obviously, it's going to be fun. But I felt like, yeah, on this occasion, I wanted to go for plasma. Ultrasight would be a great option. I wouldn't care too much for ammo, as you can farm it very efficiently in daily ops. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's poison arrows and there's flaming arrows, but they are just outright garbage, so I wouldn't really bother with them. And yeah, that was the gameplay part of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's nothing special other than the weapon itself, basically. Pretty standard stealth archer, coupled with VATS, so even more standard, to be honest. But yeah, let's take a look at the details. I hope you enjoyed it so far, and yeah, let's take a look at it. Starting off with our mutations, very bare bones there. We do have bird bones, eagle eyes, electrically charged, marsupial, and speed demon. So you see, no nonsense there, just standard stuff except for electrically charged. This is obviously not necessary, it's just leftover from another build. And other than that, we only have bird bones for extra agility, meaning better sneak and more action points to use in VATS. Eagle eyes, more perception means a little bit more VATS hit chance, more crit damage, always nice. And then it comes to marsupial, jump height, carry weight, very universally good. And lastly, speed demon, faster reload speed, faster movement speed. So the movement speed is always a nice thing. I really like it. That's why it's on every single character, even if I don't use ranged weapons that have to be reloaded. And on this occasion, I'm not quite sure actually. I haven't really used the opportunity to find a character that doesn't have Speed Demon and compare the reload time, because as I said earlier, faster reload is not a effect you can get on the crossbow, and from all I read online, it does anymore. It's a legacy, and from all I read online, it seems as if it doesn't make any difference, and this would make me believe that you can't alter the reload speed of a crossbow overall, because after all, why should Speed Demon be able to um, improve the reload speed while reload speed doesn't improve it? Then again, we do have stuff like the harpoon gun where it's a similar situation and it's kind of fiddly, and yeah, all I wanted to say is I'm not quite sure if reload speed does actually do anything for us here, but yeah. Let me know if you know any better, but just in case, Speed Demon would be nice anyways, just for the movement speed. That's all I'm saying. Then we go over to our equipment, where we do have the quad crossbow, as I said, with the plasma frame, iron sights, just because they give us the best accuracy. We do have range of 186. As I said, this is not crazy. It's not bad either, but definitely not the greatest range when it comes to these kind of weapons. Typically 200 upwards would be more interesting. However, that doesn't make too much of a difference anyways. As I said, plasma frames just flat out most damage compared to the other ones, except ultrasight ones, which require ultrasight though, and violet flux. At least violet flux um, for the frame. I'm pretty sure when it comes to the bolts they are cobalt, but I could be wrong there. Anyways, I would suggest going for the ultrasight ones. However, I went with plasma just because it's a bit more accessible, and yeah, I honestly just like the visual effects, to be honest. In terms of condition, this thing holds relatively well. However, I do have Gunsmith maxed out, so keep that in mind. We started the video with the weapon repaired to 150% from a improved repair kit, just so you know. So we didn't really lose out a lot. But yeah, in terms of ammo, it's very efficient in my opinion. We started off with like 600 of the bolts, and really since it's not proximity looting, um, consistent ammo drops or something like that. Can't really remember how they call it, but yeah, ever since the latest update, you now have a chance on every container and every enemy that it drops your ammo that you're actually using on your weapon, and it's very efficient with this weapon. Now, one thing I noticed, it's just a general thing, is that with super mutants, for example, it doesn't work very well. But when it comes to ghouls, as I said during the video, you can basically farm them infinitely without losing any ammo, really. Just because, yeah, you do have a chance to get your ammo back anyways with the weapon. It's not too crazy though, but proximity looting coupled with the contextual ammo, I'm pretty sure that's how it's called, means if you're killing a group of ghouls, there will always be like two or three of them who drop like 18 to 20 crossbow bolts, while a lot of the other ones have one of them still left in them. And yeah, overall, you're probably even going to end up with more crossbow bolts than before when fighting ghouls. So it's similar when it comes to Scorched and so on, but really, yeah, ghouls I found most viable for this. But yeah, other than that, not a lot to say here. Now, one thing that did happen during the video at some points, but I didn't really mention because I was talking about other stuff. The weapon can actually glitch out if you're just pulling the trigger again and again while it is reloading and you are in beds. Um, Works outside of beds too, but you won't hit anything probably. Yeah, sometimes you can get two shots off even though you only have one shot reloaded. So that's something that definitely can boost your DPS in certain situations. Moving over to our rest of the equipment, when it comes to armor, we do have 4 chameleon armor pieces. All of them are leather, just because it looked nice. One of them has perception, which is kind of nice, but the rest of them is pretty irrelevant. And then we do have one non-legendary right arm, shadowed, ultralight. Yeah, just because I wanted to have the right visuals going on, and I felt like, yeah, 4 pieces of chameleon was more than enough on this occasion. Obviously, full set of chameleon would be nice, but on the other side, yeah, we didn't really have any problem staying hidden. In terms of apparel, we went with the Radar Pillager backpack. As always, I do have the Chemist modification just so I don't need to bother with traveling pharmacy and can keep my unnecessary abundance of stimpaks on me. Then we do have the Cultist Adept helmet, pretty much the only thing that makes us call ourselves an Adept here, but for some reason I just found the name quite fitting. And yeah, shielded road letters. They do work well with the outfit. You could go with other stuff too, though. Shielded radar letters or shielded long johns would do the job quite well, because they do give you the same benefits in terms of perception and agility, which both are very nice. Luck also doesn't hurt. And lastly, we do have the skull mask, which very often works well with certain equipment. And that means we're going over to our perks here. We do have 5 strength, which we use for traveling pharmacy and bandolier. Now, I just said like 3 minutes ago, 2 minutes ago, that we do have the chemist backpack modification, so we don't have to bother with traveling pharmacy. On this occasion, though, I had some perk points left, and yeah, just because not everyone has access to these kind of backpacks, it has gotten better ever since Minerva is around. Gladly, the backpacks are very cheap if she sells them. But for once, I wanted to include Traveling Pharmacy again because, yeah, as I said, usually I only bother with it on power armor characters anymore. And just keep in mind, on my character personally, this we can actually unequip it. Doesn't make a difference. Um, we would be way over encumbered otherwise. But yeah, this means you can use the build exactly like it is if you don't have access to the Chemist Backpack modification. Just re-equip it here. And yeah, then we do have Bandolier. Very beneficial on this occasion. I mean, it's always good if you're using ballistic ammo to have something like this. But yeah, especially when it comes to the crossbow bolts, they can really weigh a lot and stack up quite nicely. Not nicely, quite heavily, if you carry a lot of them. But to be honest, with contextual ammo, I would feel pretty comfortable running around with just 500 of these bad boys. Maybe restock once you're down to like 200 or so, but you don't really have to carry around thousands of them. Then we go over to Perception, which is at 15. Shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. We do have maxed out all the Archer perks and then Bow Before Me. All of these perks do benefit our crossbow. Archer perks, pretty straightforward, just boost our damage. And Bow Before Me gives us a little bit of armor penetration and a stagger chance. This is basically a carbon copy of Tank Killer, but for bows. Um, bit how should I call it, a bit effortless in my opinion from the devs to just give it the exact same stats as Tank Killer. Especially the 9% stagger chance just doesn't really feel appropriate for how much slower these weapons fire compared to rifles and commando weapons, but yeah, who cares? And lastly, we do have concentrate fire maxed out, so yeah, nothing else we could do here. You could get away with just 13 perception and use rank 1 of concentrated fire. You would probably do just fine. But yeah, I maxed it out just so I have a better use for consecutive hits or consecutive shots, let's say it like that. Then we do have endurance at 6. Probably even a bit high. You don't really need to go so high just because, yeah, you're very stealthy. You're rarely going to be detected, if ever. Uh, if you are going to be detected, that's basically just because you made a mistake, to be honest. So you could very happily go down to just 1 endurance. I just used my probably the favorite endurance perks here, though. Fireproof always there, unless I have a dense chest piece, and adamantium skeleton, just so we can't get crippled anymore. These are just very universally good, in my opinion. Adamantium skeleton becomes irrelevant once you are in power armor, but yeah, as I said, you will see, as always, I do use quite some legendary perks, and yeah, combined with bringing perception down to 13 and just use 1 rank of concentrated fire, I would say, yeah, bringing endurance down to 1 and use whatever you like here would probably be my best advice if you don't have access to a lot of legendary perks. You could still perform very similarly. Then we do have Charisma at rank 3. We use it for Tenderizer. Now, when it comes to crossbows, there is a good argument that usually you maybe wouldn't use Tenderizer, just because, yeah, you'd rather focus on one-shotting enemies as good as possible. But on this occasion, since we're using a quad version, Tenderizer is still very beneficial. But to be honest, it's such a good perk for how little you have to invest into it that, yeah, even on a non-quad crossbow character, I would probably use Tenderizer as well. Then we do have Intelligence at 8. I use it for rank 3 of First Aid, a little bit of a safety net, and yet again, one thing you could really live without if you don't really have access to the perk points. And then we do have Gunsmith. Now, this is a bit of a different story. I said it briefly. The condition of the weapon isn't very good. It does usually not pay into account too much just because you're firing relatively slow, relatively small amount of crossbow bolts over the period of like 1 hour of gameplay. So the weapon, while not having the greatest condition, doesn't degrade too fast. But once you have a quad version, you really see a noticeable difference, and Gunsmith seems to make a crazy difference here. It's one of those weapons where I feel that it, for whatever reason, performs better than just 50% slower condition loss. But yeah, yet again, just a feeling that I have. I definitely wouldn't want to play this character without Gunsmith, though I would consider this a must-have, to be honest, on this character. Then we do have Agility maxed out. Yet again, not really any surprise to anyone, probably. We do have Action Boy maxed out. As you probably noticed, we don't have a single version of armor that has the powered legendary effect. We don't have Lone Wanderer, so really, in terms of action point refresh, we're not really doing too hot, to be honest. Now, the weapon is very AP efficient. Not very, there's better options, but it's pretty AP efficient. So, Grim Reaper Sprint is usually enough in most cases to keep our AP at bay. But yeah, just in case, we do have Action Boy, so we have at least a little bit more AP refresh going on than the base version. Then we do have Covered Operative, Mr. Sandman, Sneak, Escape Artist, and Gun Fu. Covered Operative is there to just boost our our stealth damage. Same for Mr. Sandman, obviously only works at night. Now, you're probably aware that if you use these two in the right combination, meaning equipping the right one after the other one, you can actually get different outcomes. Like, I will, I hope we will see an enemy here. Gladly, it's night, so if we find an enemy, we can actually show it off real quick. But I think there should be some floaters left down there. Oopsie. Okay. Let's use covered operative, and then we do use, where is it, Mr. Sandman afterwards. 3.5 times sneak attack damage, and now we do it the other way around. Mr. Sandman first, then covered operative, and you will see 3.75. And indeed, the damage points do change. So yeah, just in case, I'm probably sure you know this already. Captain Noob is one of the persons who talked a lot about this. But yeah, anyways. I think it is the first time I have shown it off on the channel. I usually don't really bother with Mr. Sandman for the simple reason that it's so situational. It just works at night, so you could probably get away with using something else over the day, but I don't really like to swap out stuff too much. I just left it in there and just wanted to showcase that indeed the weapon does benefit from the Mr. Sandman perk despite not having a silencer. But when it comes to coding, as far as I know, the weapon has the silenced keyword to it, so it works with Mr. Sandman. Anyways, going on, we do have Gunfu at rank 3, just in case it happens. It doesn't happen too often, but especially once it comes to ghouls or so, you can just maybe headshot one enemy, headshot another one, and if you're lucky like that, you will at that point probably be able to just go to torso shots, which will most definitely hit, and be able to one-shot them either way. So yeah, when it comes to ghouls, scorched, mutant hounds maybe, or other stuff like that, yeah, gunfu can be very beneficial here. And lastly, we do have Escape Artist and Sneak. These are pretty straightforward. Probably overkill just because, yeah, we do have Shadowed Armor all over. We do have a full set of Chameleon, nearly. And we do have very high agility. So you could probably live without Sneak, but yeah, I always include it either way. So yeah, we do have Sneak at rank 3 and Escape Artist. Those just are so we can sneak better and escape easier. And lastly, we do have luck at 15. Better criticals is here just to boost our critical damage, very obviously. Then we do have critical savvy, just so we can get a crit on every third shot. Successful hit, by the way. Then we have quick hands, which, yeah, oftentimes I hate it, oftentimes I love it. On this occasion, I do love it. Um, it seems to proc as often as you would expect it. Obviously, it's always too rare. It would be nice if it would happen more often. But when it does, oh boy, quick hands can be so much fun on this weapon here. And another thing I haven't really mentioned here is uh, what I said earlier is once you're coming into a situation where you fight multiple enemies and you run out of your 4 shots in the magazine, you can at that point use the crossbow just like a regular version, meaning the moment you reload it, you shoot ahead and go on. And every time you empty that mag, you do have a chance to actually refill your whole magazine. And if you refill it, yeah, it's going to be all of it, all the 4 shots. So that can actually bring some more action back into the fight at certain points. Seems to happen more rarely, as I said, than if you're emptying your whole clip very fast. But yeah, anyways, quick hands, very beneficial on this build. And lastly, Grim Reaper Sprint. Yeah, talked about it when I was in the agility stat pretty briefly. We have a 35% chance to restore our complete action points if we kill an enemy in VATS, and this really helps to just perform better. Pretty straightforward. And yeah, I said lastly when it came to Grim Reaper Sprint, but we do have 2 perks left. Starch Genes, pretty straightforward. We want to keep our mutations, not get any new ones, so sadly we do have to use it. And lastly, we do have Scrounger. This time really lastly. Simple reason here, I didn't really know what else to put. We could have gone away with 4-Leaf Clover or maybe even 1 rank of Psychopath on this occasion. But I found Scrounger to be a way more enticing choice nowadays, that we do have contextual ammo and every single ammo container has a chance to give me loot that actually works for me. I'm not quite sure if Scrounger does work like that, like if it procs it always is going to be your kind of ammo. But yeah, when it comes to 1 perk point, I obviously wanted to have luck maxed out, for the simple reason that I can get a crit on every second shot due to critical savvy. So going for luck 14 wasn't really an option. I'm pretty sure that's the threshold there. So you really want to have 15 luck, otherwise you need 3 shots just in order to refill your crit meter. So yeah, I had to go with 15, and if you just invest 1 perk point, um, you can't go right, you can't go wrong, let's be honest. And that leaves us with just legendary perks. And as I said during the video, most of them are pretty straightforward and boring. We have a lot of improvements to our special stats due to legendary perks. So agility is the only one that's maxed out as it is at 15. 15 agility plus the 3 from legendary one, just to give us more action points and sneak better. Luck is actually like used that I do have 12 luck base and 3 luck added so that we can come up to 15 luck. And yeah, the rest of them is pretty obviously, since none of those stats are maxed out, these are just helping us to get more perk points. But as I said, there's a lot of room to just not use certain perks and still perform pretty similar with the build, so you definitely can recreate this character with way less legendary perks and still be effective. The only one I would really focus on is follow through. As always, when it comes to a stealth character, even on stealth melee, I mean, not that I'm playing a lot of stealth melee, it's just trash in my opinion. Um, but yeah, even when it comes to that kind of build, I do like to have follow through if I don't have to sacrifice anything crazy for it, just so I can use a hatchet or a throwing knife in order to get the follow through bonus and then hack away at my opponent. So yeah, that has been it. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. I'm Yeah, I was kind of surprised by the 100 subscribers. I'm really a little bit disappointed that I wasn't able to just yeah, pump out some very special level 100 build kind of, I don't know, kind of build. But yeah, I think I will see that I will bring out something. And yet again, thanks for all your support, guys. I really appreciate it, and see you next time. Bye.